Hello again, and welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, episode 485. It's that time again. Welcome to our annual Slow Flowers Holiday Music Special. This is the weekly podcast about slow flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal, and local supply of flowers and foliage. This podcast is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. Our first sponsor thank you goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. I'm so happy today to bring you an audio gift of music. Please enjoy my conversation with Bozeman, Montana-based Remy Bro, who with her husband and partner Fred Bro own the contemporary floral boutique called Labellum. The couple originally met through music and formed a singer-songwriting duo called Nest of Seven when they lived and worked in Los Angeles. I'll chat with Remy about how music has influenced her path, how she has taken a long hiatus away from music, and how she's finding her way back to that music. We'll hear 3 songs from Remy and Fred's album, In the Valley of the Red Sparrow, and we'll talk about lots more. Let's jump right in and get started. You'll see more photos of this multi-talented creative individual and find a link to our interview from earlier this year, all in the show notes for episode 485 at deborahprinzing.com. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, and we are celebrating the holidays, and this is our maybe 5th or 6th holiday music special. I try to have it once a year where I showcase a Slow Flowers member who is also super talented in music, and I'm so excited to introduce Remy Bro of Labellum in Bozeman, Montana.
Hi, Deborah. How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you, Remy?
Good. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah, thank you. And I have to confess, you were a guest of the podcast. I think it was back in June. We were kind of talking about coping with COVID and all this sort of draggy things that were facing florists like you. And you have a retail flower shop, which is a beautiful shop. I can't wait to visit. I've just been lurking on social media looking at photos of it. And somehow you told me about your background in music, and I thought to myself, I got to get her back on to share that music. So thanks for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I can't believe that was already back in June. This year's been kind of a whirlwind blur.
What happened to 2020?
Yeah. Bye-bye 2020.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to air on December 23rd, getting us all in a festive mood. Not that this is Christmas music or anything, but just...
This is not Christmas music.
But it's beautiful music, and it's showing another side of a floral artist. So first of all, give us a snapshot of Labellum, just so we can bring people back up to speed. I'll also put a link to the podcast that we did from earlier this year so people can hear your full story. But how are things going with Labellum, and what's the status right now?
Well, right now we are in the holiday swing. I have seen a major shift since Thanksgiving, actually, since people aren't able to travel and go other places for the holidays, that they've been focusing more on their own homes for decorations, wreaths, tablescapes. So we've actually been able to stay pretty steady through Thanksgiving up until now. And it's also been a great way for people to send gifts to loved ones that they aren't going to see. So, Merry Christmas, Grandma. Here's, a wreath for your door, Uncle Tom. So it's been, pretty awesome to be able to, be a part of everyone's holiday celebrations still.
So orders from outside Bozeman are coming in from relatives who want to send gifts to their relatives who live in your town.
Yes. And
Wow.
then everyone who isn't traveling to other places, like California's shut down and New York's shutting down. So we have a lot of people that have family on East and West Coast. So they're staying here.
Hmm.
I think probably by the end of next week, we'll have made about 100 wreaths.
Wow. Wow.
So it's definitely people are being a little more festive, trying to make themselves feel good this year.
Yeah, I sense that too, and I think that's nice for kind of what would normally. I mean, holidays. Obviously, you're probably busy because you have a beautiful. You merchandise your store with gifts and botanical items, and it's not just cut flowers, plants. But winter in general is probably kind of the quiet season.
Yeah, it's usually a little downtime. When I opened up the shop, I decided I had worked so many Christmases and New Year's Eves and not spent that with family that I actually close Christmas through New Year's now. It's been something that we've done since we've opened, and it's been the most rejuvenating time for me
Oh, I
to be able
bet.
to have that time with family or without family and just, remove myself from work. This January is always Valentine's prep time. So even though it seems like we're slow in the shop, it's all the pre-ordering and pre-prep for Valentine's.
That's funny because before we got on the podcast, I thought I better just go check out La Bellum on Instagram, and I scrolled all the way back through the year. I could actually mark the calendar of a lot of events by seeing what you posted, and
Totally.
but I got back to January 1st, and like I swear, you started talking about Valentine's Day right away because I guess it was really just messaging your clients, like getting them prepared, getting them thinking about what was available, and hopefully ordering early because
Oh yeah,
it's a
that's
scene.
always the biggest, concern is knowing, I think with any retail, brick and mortar shop for Valentine's, what are you going to get? Who's going to call you? What day of the week does Valentine's land on? And typically our customers are male, and no
Hmm.
offense out there, guys, but you're usually really last minute. So, they call, the afternoon of Valentine's and they want something awesome. And I just have a couple stems left in the cooler. So,
Yeah.
pre-order.
Yeah. Well, okay. Who got the giant armload of burgundy kind of blood red anthurium that you were holding in that one photo? That was
Oh, wasn't
insane.
that stunning?
That wasn't
That
an
actually
arrangement.
broke up. That broke up into a few different arrangements. But it just, when I was putting them all before they were getting ready to go into a vase so that I could hydrate them, it looked so pretty. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks so delicious.
I bring that up because it is kind of reflective of your style. I mean, you're smack in the middle of, Montana, high desert. Not a lot is growing available locally in February. So you bring in these sort of groovy surprises that, I don't know, kind of change things up and also change what people think is traditional Valentine's Day, I'm sure. I mean, I'm just picking that as an example.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's still really white and snowy here in February. So it's probably one of our coldest months of the year. So having things that are colorful, tropical, a little bit out of the spectrum that people are expecting, help to make all of those Valentine's, treats a little more unique and special.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also sort of your signature. I feel like you're contemporary in your interpretation of any arrangement that you're asked to make. There's no traditional kind of expect what you would expect. And I love that about your style.
Thank you. I try to keep moving past what I've learned and past what we've always seen, without going too modern
Yeah.
and without staying too traditional. I think classical
Hmm.
with a little, whimsy
Yeah.
and curiosity is the best direction.
I love it. Well, let's talk about music. How did music influence your life, and how did it shape your life before flowers?
Well, I think most musicians in general would say that music was always a part of your life. And moving through music, I really, had hoped, as I think also many musicians do, that you'll one day have this beautiful career as being a musician, and you'll be able to do your music and life will be amazing. You'll be in a rock band, or you'll be leading an orchestra, or whatever direction path you saw for yourself. And halfway through my junior year of college, I was starting to realize that I maybe needed to go into a more focused get life started direction. I was interning at Philip Glass's Looking Glass studio in New York City.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is great. I'm making coffee pots, I'm emptying trash cans, I'm dubbing tapes, I'm cleaning heads on, speakers and tape recorders, but this isn't making my music. This isn't allowing me to create.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that step and left and started realizing that, wow, now I need a job, because musicians need a lot of money.
Yeah.
Instruments are expensive. If you get to that point when you're in a band or you're recording sessions, and recording sessions cost a lot of money. Back in the day, we were still recording on tape and CD. So we had to produce all that, product. So musicians get a bad rap. We're called like slackers. And, oh, they never get their act together. Well, because we spend all of our money on our music.
Right.
So
it's the creative, it's that creative urge, right?
Definitely. But flowers, I was able to get a little flower shop job in a local neighborhood flower shop.
And where was that? Was it in New York or back in LA?
That was in New York.
Oh, in New
yeah,
York.
That was
okay.
in New York. And when I was, ready to move on, I actually, before I moved to Los Angeles, I did like a 9-month stint in Austin, Texas, another big music hub of the country.
Yeah. You weren't quite ready. You were still kind of keeping both your feet in both worlds then.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, Austin isn't for me either. Let's head out west. Let's go to California. And then, I met my husband there and we started a band. We've gone through many names. Nest of Seven is actually the last one we've landed on, but we had other band members, and then we just became a duo.
So it's you and Fred.
Yes.
And Fred Bro is also his last name. And you guys met in LA. And were you in music at the time, or did you just find so much joy in another musician that you just together thought, let's make music?
Yeah, we were both in a little break in between groups and music. I think we both actually wound up being in a little slump, musical slump. And when we met each other, literally we'd go to work. We would meet up at probably 7:00 at night and write and record music until like 4 a.m. We'd crash and then wake up and go to work the next morning.
Wow.
So that was like a cycle of about 6 months. And we put out this like huge wave of some good and some not so good, music. And we just had this like kind of inspirational electricity from the start.
Wow. And you said eventually your duo you called Nest of Seven.
Yes.
And what period was this? Like in the early 2000s or?
This was probably early 2000s. We met right pretty much at Y2K, and we had another person in the band, and he quickly left, and we seemed to put out an album and change the band name every single time, because it seemed like our identity and who we were per expression was different. So we have music under all these different names. We put music on an independent film short that was in the Deauville Festival, and I think was just our names. So it got to be really confusing, and we finally just like settled on Nest of Seven, and we're sticking with it.
Okay. So what inspired that name?
Well, the world is about 7 billion people, but our Earth is kind of our nest.
Mm-hmm.
We live here, we are hatched here, we create here. So that's kind of where that thought process.
That's a beautiful metaphor. Yeah. So how did you guys songwrite together? Do you both play instruments, or is one of you more the lyricist and the other the kind of the songwriter? How does that all come together?
It's really a good 50-50 partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times like Fred will be noodling on the guitar and he'll come up with like some really nice chord progressions, and then I'll start humming a little tune, and then we're like, okay, this is kind of cool. And so we work on that, and maybe lyrics will come, a few months later after we get like a really fun kind of melody and vibe to it. As you can tell, our music is a little more experimental and loose, maybe more actually like my flower design. So we don't necessarily
I love it.
follow like a, verse, chorus, put it on the radio pop song, but it always has a flow.
Well, let's hear one of the songs. Which one should we listen to first?
Well, you can put the title track of the last album there, Victory Day.
Okay, we'll play Victory Day for everybody. Just tee it up for us, Remy. What's the I don't know, the message of this song, or what spoke to you when you and Fred wrote this?
I think it's most important to let people get their own interpretation from songs.
Okay,
lyrics and words and music overall express so many things the way you hear them.
Yes.
So I never like telling somebody that this is what you got to think.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Well, I appreciate that. We'll go ahead and listen to it, and then we'll come back and keep the conversation going. Okay, thank you so much. I loved listening to that. Put me in a kind of contemplative, happy place. So, I mean, I think there's something for. I'm not a musician. I have musicians in my family, but I feel like when you know the artist, it changes the experience. And I suppose it's just like when we know the flower farmer or the florist who's creating something in a vase, it has a deeper meaning. So
I love that.
yeah, so hearing your voice just talking about being a musician and then hearing your music, I appreciate it so much more.
Thank you.
Yeah, so walk us through the kind of the journey. Once you had Nest of Seven and you and Fred were making music together, but you also were still working in floristry at the time, right?
I was working crazy hours, probably like 70, maybe 75 hours a week. In Los Angeles.
I remember in the last podcast you talked about this was like a giant production event studio or company, right?
Yeah, it was huge. And, we were doing those really big wall-to-wall, floral installation events. And it was definitely encroaching on my creative space. And one of our DJ musician friends in Los Angeles, he approached us and said that he would like to manage us, but we had to do this, and it was going to cost this, and he wanted to bring in a third member to our group, and then start us touring. And so that was going to be it was kind of a pivotal decision time for us if we were going to kind of drop our day-to-day work and actually really try to push the music into a different kind of orbit. And so we decided to move to Bozeman, Montana. And
the third path. So that was like the unexpected third option then. And that is you stay in LA, go out on the road, or go to Bozeman. How did that happen?
Yeah, we spun the map, chose a location, and we decided we needed a new direction, a new creative space. And we moved up here to Montana. We've taken a big hiatus. I guess it's almost 10 years now from recording and from writing. And we're just now probably getting into that space again to start back up.
Wow, it's been 10 years. Yeah, I was reading that also on your, when I went back to spend time on your website, that you are almost coming up on your 10-year anniversary, right?
Yes, well, the 10-year anniversary of LaBellum will be this March.
Wow.
I'm so excited and kind of blown away.
That's amazing. Well, let's hear another song. I love this song titled Red Sparrow, which translates as Sciafalo. Is that in Spanish or in Italian?
That's in our own made-up language.
Oh, okay. Ooh, all right. Okay, we're going to hear this song, and everybody will take their own beautiful interpretation from it. Anything else you want to say about it?
Sciafalo is definitely a space to kind of follow the flight and the little maybe day in a life of the red sparrow.
That was fun. It's really a mystery to me to think about how songs come together, and especially when you describe your more experimental style, it's a very organic process. It seems like there's not a template that you follow.
There's no template for sure. Like with Ciafalo, the song we just heard, I don't think we really liked how the vocal track was coming out. So we actually reversed it. That's the words and the vocals that you're hearing is actually everything backwards.
No way.
So I then learned how to sing those words backwards so that if we ever did want to perform that, I can sing along just as if it was forwards.
Oh, how mystical. That is, it could be a whole language. Oh, I love that.
It's almost like Elvish.
Yes, exactly. Some secret language.
Yes.
So catch us up to now. You said you're thinking about making music again. And what instruments do you play, and you said Fred plays the guitar. Do you just sit down and kind of play for each other?
We do. We have instruments kind of all around our living space. So it's easy to pick up a guitar or a clicker or a clacker or marimba, anything you want, and kind of, make a little tune, whenever. Fred plays guitar and bass. He's an amazing percussionist. He's an awesome vocalist. And I play harp and keyboards and I sing. So we kind of have a lot of different fun things we can play in, and instruments we don't even play, we still keep around. And sometimes you want to have those, sounds in there. Like we have a cello and, a violin. And I mean, I took like 6 months of violin. That was not a good direction for me, but it's sometimes you want that fun sound for something. So
wow, yeah. It sounds so layered. Like you maybe add little musical, I don't know, accents or details to a composition. And you
just
have
like adding an anthurium to an arrangement when someone's not expecting it, right?
Right.
It's that same sort of thing.
Especially if you have all these instruments laying around, you can you have your inspiration to just create a sound, and you must hear. Your head must be full of musical thoughts, or little effects that just come dancing through your brain as you're going through the day.
Probably sometimes too much so.
Remy, what? I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Remy, what music do you guys play in the shop when you're designing? You must have a great soundtrack.
Yeah, right now it's a lot of holiday music.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like the more classical 40s, 50s, and 60s vintage style Christmas tunes. And then, I go off of my vibe at the moment. I've loaded up a ton of, music onto the computer and made playlists, and then always fall back onto Pandora when I get sick of that.
Yeah.
I can't listen to the same things often, so it's a lot of switching.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should commission you to make a playlist for 2021 that we can share with everybody.
I love that.
Would you do that?
Totally. That'd be really fun.
Oh my God, we so need that. Okay, well that no pressure, but maybe during that week, that 1 week break, you can come up with a playlist for us. Is there a rule, what is a playlist? Is it supposed to represent side A and side B of an album, or like a certain number of songs, or is it just whatever moves you?
I think it's whatever moves you. Now with this digital platform, we don't have to, make sure that song fits the end of that tape perfectly before it clicks off. We have kind of a lot of freedom with that. So why, get caught in okay, you can only put 20 songs because that's what would fit on a record.
God,
That
so reminds me of my brother and his cassette, his gift cassettes he would give all of us with his favorite music. I have to say,
it was a gift.
It was
a labor of love, and I miss it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, because my brother Scott and his wife Chris were my musical guests on the podcast a few years ago, and they are musicians in Billings, Montana. I hope you guys can meet someday.
Cool. Yes.
But my brother used to give my boys, when they were little, a cassette of, so let's say my son turned 10. My brother would make a complete cassette of all the music that he listened to when he was 10. And like, then he would do it when they were 16 or whatever. And it was just like my kids, I don't think they ever appreciated it until they got older, like how special that was. But it was sort of a walk through music history.
That's an amazing collection. I hope they still have those.
I think they're in a box in the garage. We better dig them out.
Oh, so cool.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have one more song to listen to, and it's called Release. And let's go ahead and jump in, and then we'll finish up the podcast. Does that sound good?
Thanks.
Awesome. Here's Release. Okay, Remy, thank you so much for sharing your talent with us.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. When you do take a break from floristry and start entering music again, do you think it'll be with a different goal, maybe more for yourself and less about performing or recording, or what shape do you think it'll take?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I won't be taking a break from floristry.
No
This
way.
will
There's
be,
no one will let you.
This will be on free time, nighttime hours, back to the old grind. Music was always for us. It wasn't necessarily for somebody else. We didn't go into recording or writing as an idea of production or sale.
Mm-hmm.
It was always kind of what came out of us. And if someone dug it and they wanted to buy a CD, that was cool. But it was always something that we just had to express.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And I like also the fact that you have built this beautiful business called Labellum, and that is really your current art form, but it's also supporting you. And even with COVID, I feel like you probably have a deeper appreciation for your business than ever before, because you've been so rooted in your own garden and your hometown. You know, this is the life you've built.
100%. I feel so blessed and lucky to be able to have still been open most of this COVID time, be able to have sent love from other people in the form of flowers to help them get through this COVID time. That's been, I think, the most profound of my job experience. You know, a lot of people have been doing Zoom calls. You're my first Zoom call. You know, I've been still working with flowers, and I've been getting phone calls from people saying, "Thank you so much. This changed my whole day." One lady was in a shutdown senior care facility. She was on quarantine, even though she hadn't tested positive. And she called me. She's like, "I'm going stir crazy. I need flowers. Please help me." The brightest, most colorful mix. She's like, "It doesn't have to look pretty. I just want every color of the rainbow in that arrangement."
I'm sure it was pretty.
And so we put something together for her. Her brother picked it up. They put it by a door. She had to pull it in by a long rope. You know, it was a whole big adventure to get it to her.
Oh my goodness. We've talked about your future with music. Do you want to just talk about where you see what's going to happen with your 10th anniversary and what you're hoping to do to celebrate? Or is it too early to say?
I think it's too early to say. I want to have this big, gorgeous party, invite the whole town to come by and say hello. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to kind of play it by ear. And, you know, if anything, find a way to say thank you to our community, even if it's not in person. So if you have any cool ideas,
I was thinking,
let me know.
I think that maybe you just make the whole year your 10th anniversary celebration, and that way you can kind of create this crescendo. So once everyone finally gets the vaccine, or there's a rapid testing or some kind of safer space, maybe next fall, you guys could have a big party with some of your music.
That sounds phenomenal. Probably not with my music, but with lots of flowers.
All right. If it's in the fall and it's safe, I'll come visit you. It'll be really fun to
oh my
witness
gosh,
that.
I would love that. Please do.
Yeah. Remy, thank you so much. This has been really a wonderful conversation, and I love your.
I always love chatting.
Yeah, and I think we love the same things, but your spirit is very uplifting and inspiring. And I just love the way you've built a business that fits your lifestyle and that feeds you and creates community in Bozeman and beyond. Because I know you work with flower farmers all around Western Montana, and they feel invested in your success too.
Well, I hope so. I feel invested in them. I love seeing how they're growing, how they're changing, and how we actually support each other. You know, local supporting local is the best.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, and happy Christmas and New Year.
Thank you so much to you too and your family.
Okay.
Stay healthy, stay safe.
Thanks, Remy.
Bye.
thank you, Remy, for sharing your musical influences and your floral journey. I wish you a creatively fulfilling 2021. Your music really touches my spirit and made me feel so inspired to listen to music more often in my daily practice. By the way, I continue to be on the lookout for musical guests to feature each December. So listeners, if you're a Slow Flowers member with a song to share or even an album, please reach out and let me know. Our next sponsor thanks goes to Rooted Farmers. Rooted Farmers works exclusively with local growers to put the highest quality specialty cut flowers in floral customers' hands. When you partner with Rooted Farmers, you are investing in your community, and you can expect a commitment to excellence in return. Learn more at rootedfarmers.com. Next week, on Wednesday, December 30th, the final episode of 2020, I'll share our Slow Flowers Year in Review with you. On the horizon, the first episode of the new year, Wednesday, January 6th, will feature our 2021 Slow Flowers Floral Insights and Industry Forecast. I'm so excited to share both of these reports with you as we say goodbye to 2020 and eagerly anticipate 2021. The Slow Flowers podcast has been downloaded more than 670,000 times by listeners like you. Thank you for listening, commenting, and sharing. It means so much. As our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of our domestic cut flower industry, the momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. 2020 has been a challenging year for all of us, and we have continued to deliver fresh, original content to you through the Slow Flowers podcast, week in and week out, since 2013. Not counting all of the time invested in developing the topics, guests, and content, we spend more than $10,000 each year to bring you this award-winning internet radio program. Your financial support can ensure that we continue into 2021 on a healthy momentum. If every listener contributes just $2, those funds would add up quickly to cover our out-of-pocket costs to record, edit, host, and promote the Slow Flowers podcast. Would you consider making a year-end donation? I value your support, and I invite you to show your thanks to support Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button in the column to the right at deborahprinzing.com. Our final sponsor thank you goes to Syndicate Sales, an American manufacturer of vases and accessories for the professional florist. Look for the American flag icon to find Syndicate's USA-made products and join the Syndicate Stars loyalty program at syndicatesales.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of the Slow Flowers podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more American-grown flowers on the table, one vase at a time. And if you like what you hear, please consider logging onto iTunes and posting a listener review. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. The Slow Flowers podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. Learn more about his work at soundbodymovement.com.